off so we don't have to listen to it. As the Lord's warriors, if you're sitting here watching these coming charades, I just hope, you get busy. Get imaginative. Let's really just start praying against the whole charade coming to earth. Just some. I know some of you have such huge senses of humor, and you come up with things I don't even think of. And so, and that's just the way of what we are. That's we're His warriors, and we're going to be warriors with our last breath. And until we're gone, that's exactly what we're going to be. And we're always going to be fighting against Satan and his kingdom. And so that's what we need to be doing, no matter what's going on earth. And you've got your ice roundups. You've got, and those are coming up. That's coming up in June. You've got Maitreya coming out of hibernation in Arabia. He's going to come out of his hibernation out that way and start proclaiming himself as their Mahdi, their Messiah. Probably rise up as the king over there and getting nations together, the Arabian nations over there. That's the biggest thing to watch for, is the Arabian nations all aligning together. You see that alliance of the king of the south coming together, then you'll know what time you're in. And so, just a heads up, folks, on some of the things that are coming. And keep studying the sun, because there's so much, there's a wealth of information there. And I've been digging through Enoch, because I know the Lord doesn't live in this dimension, in our dimension. The Most High doesn't live in our dimension. But He manifests Himself through various ways. And the most superior part of creation in our universe is the sun, which is a manifestation of Him, of His glory. Like I said, I believe it's some kind of a portal, some kind of a gateway, and you can see fighting going on at the sun that NASA airbrushes out, angelic UFOs and probably Satan's UFOs going at it. I don't know what's going at it, but you see these beams of light and stuff. Also blocking out different satellites and types of things that are around the sun, coming up from behind the sun. They've been blocking out that planet for ages. There's been a planet coming up from behind the sun. You also have the brown dwarf by the sun. You have Nibiru coming. So all very interesting. You have Jupiter going to blow up in half. And then we're going to have 2 suns and then possibly 3 suns in the sky soon, whenever they blow up Jupiter. So, some very interesting things coming up. The Lord's always said, keep your eyes on the skies. I know it's hard to keep your eyes on the sun, but keep your eyes on the skies, because the Bible says in the last days men's hearts are going to fail with fear. And so if you're really brave, start asking the Lord, what could be so fearful that could kill men, that could make them just die of fear, give them heart attacks and make their hearts fail? What could be so fearful? And let Him reveal that to you. It's an eye-opener, some of the things that are going to be happening. And so, but that's a little bit down the road. We can't even get through this one first. The basics of the tribulation period coming upon us, the forced famine that we're seeing, because they're forcing and instigating these riots around the country and the world with gas and food, because they want to implement martial law here in America. And like I've said, most of the church will be dead before Satan even starts enforcing his number and his name and his image on the world. So most of them won't even have to worry about if they're going to be here, if the rapture is going to happen first. I get that all the time. Christians wanting to know if the rapture is going to happen before the mark of the beast is enforced. It's like, most of you are going to be dead. Most are going to be dead by then, especially in America. And I'm not saying not to know, because I think we should always know what's coming and what's going to happen after. Most of us are gone, or dead, or killed, or imprisoned, or whatever happens. Don't fear it, folks. Don't sweat the small stuff. Do you know how small Satan is compared to the Most High? Don't sweat the small stuff. Because this world, this life, it's almost done with. It's almost over. And I'm cheering it on. It's like, bring it on. I want to go home. I want to go home. And I know a lot of you do too. And it's getting from point A to point B strikes fear in a lot of people. Perfect love casts out fear. And so if you're afraid, just ask the Lord to teach Him how to love Him even more. To build up your love in Him more and more and more and more and more, because love casts out fear. and you won't sweat the small stuff that's coming. You won't fear the small stuff, you know. And that's exactly what it is, because so many people give Satan this huge, dominant, prominent part of fear in their lives, and it's like, good grief. As a child of the Most High, you have more power under your fingernail than Satan has. Just learn to use the power you have as one of the Lord's, one of Yahushua's, and go to war against him. Go to war against Satan. And part of the whole thing about suffering and being attacked and targeted all the time, because we are his children, is learning how to stand up and fight back. You don't always have to be on the defensive. I love to go on the offensive. Both defensive and offense. And if you're on the defense, you're already being attacked. Yeah, it's much more fun to just go on the offense and always be attacking and targeting to destroy his kingdom on earth, and all his little weapons he uses, all the technology he has, can't withstand one prayer to the Most High. And if you're being targeted by his equipment, ask the Lord to break it. Just what it takes is a little bit of speaking to the Lord, a little bit of communication between the Lord and his people, and Satan's kingdom can be destroyed. So communication, folks, communicate. Learn how to talk to the Most High. If he's a priority of yours, then you've already learned that throughout the day. You just think about him and you talk to him, and you don't have to get in these real formal prayers with him. I talk to him while I'm doing dishes. While you're driving, think about him, and usually when you're thinking about him is when he'll talk to you the most, because you're not talking, you're not doing all the talking, you're just thinking about him, and that's when he can hit your spirit. And you'll start to recognize his voice as he hits your spirit, and you think, oh, that's just my intuition, or my inner intuition, or whatever. Most of you have just overlooked that because it's the Lord's voice speaking to you. And so, just a heads up. Just trying to give some of you some encouragement and training and how to move forward with your relationships with the Most High, because something the churches won't do, and something you're going to need in these last days to learn how to hear him. Learn how to get through the last days. We've got UN soldiers coming, possibly a Chinese invasion coming, famine coming, the government of America that wants you dead, the UN wants you dead, everybody wants us dead, so a lot of interesting things happening. Anyway, I'm going to start answering questions from listeners. If you have a question for the show, email it to SherryTalkRadio@yahoo.com. Sister Sherry, when Yahushua went up on the mount with some of his disciples and the transfiguration of Elijah and Moses were with him, it mentions that Elijah came as John the Baptist. Does that mean he was incarnated as John? References Matthew 17, 11-13. P.S. Have you received your stimulus check yet? I'm still waiting. Wondering if I've thought and said bad things about Bush too many times, as this is my payback. I'm still waiting. Back to your question on Elijah and Moses. That's what they believed at the time, and I remember, if I remember this right, in Matthew, Yahushua says Elijah was John the Baptist for those who could hear it, for those who could believe it, or for those who had their ears open or eyes open to see it or hear it or whatever. Very well, could have been an incarnation, John the Baptist being Elijah. Very well. I mean, it says in Matthew 17 it was, and so then other people say, oh, no, it wasn't, and so, who knows? Next question. Was wondering if you've ever, before you entered up Paul Dunn, found any Bible codes